Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic, why I stopped doing questions and answers. I've spent a lot of my life doing interviews. I've been asked questions on camera, off camera, on the radio, and in the television. And I've also been the asker, the interviewer, in all of those same scenarios. It is always better to have asked than answered. And in the end, I've learned a lot about the interviewing process. First is to listen. When you're both asking and answering, you have to listen. And second is to always bring along a recorder of some kind so you can concentrate on the conversation and not just on taking notes. I can't tell you how many times I've been interviewed by news people with a pen and a notepad, only to have them immediately regret they didn't bring along some sort of digital or tape recorder. It seems they weren't really prepared for what I was going to say, and they had no idea they wouldn't be able to keep up with me. And then, and when they ask me to repeat what I just said so they can write it down again, I stumble and fail. I can't remember. Because I'm just talking, I'm answering, I'm not memorizing a statement or reciting lines. And I often can't stop and go back in time and just rewash what I just said. My brain-to-mouth ratio doesn't operate that way. So we, the two of us, then spend the next 5 minutes backtracking what I said, what I thought I said, what they thought I said, and what the reporter thought I said, and me trying to remember what was just spoken and then forgotten. And this is a problem because when you're giving an honest answer that you haven't pre-planned, you aren't really forming word after word. You're creating the larger picture ahead and thinking 100 words into the future of where your mouth will land in verbalization next. And so, yes, there is a disconnect in time between thought and the vocalization. Processing isn't instant, and the burden of that process is on the interviewer, not on the interviewee. Now, the most insidious interview process I've had over the years, without question, is the Q&A, the question and answer. And I've grown to despise that sort of interview format, both as a reader and as a subject, because Q&A is dry and impersonal on both sides of the thought dyad. And yes, Q&A is easy. I admit I've used Q&A in the past, from both sides. Think up 10 questions, have someone else type up a long response, and you're done. Go home. But now, as I age and get wiser, I say, sorry, if I'm going to spend 1,000 words answering a bunch of your single-spaced questions, I am going to publish those thoughts, those responses on my blog, not on yours. And I'll do it for my own best interest, not yours. And no, my human meme friend, that is not selfish at all. Because time is money, and money is effort. And so, what's really selfish is those who think the unequal time ratio between thinking up 10 questions and actually answering 10 questions doesn't give all the dyad merit to the one doing the answering. And Q&A is also really boring on the eye and in the ear. You see some of the online magazines really taking to the Q&A format now. And And that's because it's easy, it's cheap, saves time, quick content creation. And there's really no writing or analysis involved in Q&A, no follow-up questions, no pressure, just ask, get answered, move along. No thinking necessary. Just the blabbering of answering a question in long paragraph form. Minimum answer, 5 sentences, please. Q&A is just lazy journalism and lousy storytelling. But I've learned students tend to love asking you to answer their list of questions for a Q&A prescribed in a different class. And yes, in the past, I have played along, and I have answered the questions of my students. But I've never been thanked or even acknowledged for actually answering their questions and doing their coursework for them. My answers require no editing or effort on their side. I do all the heavy lifting and all the work and get none of the credit. And that's fine, up to a point. As an educator, you want to support inquiry, but not lazy knowledge. And no, I'm not in the world for credit. Listen to my Script Doctor episodes right here on this Human Meme podcast to know that. But what I am about now is about being wise with my time. We are not here on this swirling earth for an eternity, though it may feel like it. The clock does not forever spin in our favor. And once you reach a certain age, you know time is rattling against you. And that you need to be prescient in what is everlasting and what is busy work. And I've done enough busy work and tempering and pump priming in my life. And so now I'm only about results and production. And anything that interferes with that mandate gets pressed off into the ether of never getting done. But hey, if you need information, ask, but have a conversation to get there. Do not rely on call and response like Q&A. Engage your topic. Employ your passions. And rhetoric is fine as long as that sort of information exchange is two-way. Effectiveness is measured in periodic examples of character revelation. And when you ask a dry question, expect to get precisely back what you put into that task. Yes, writing and thinking and expressing are all harder than just asking one thing to someone for answering one something, because that's the way life is intended to unfold. Multitasked and confused. And remember, we are in an experience together. We are built to know each other. We cannot get a yes or examine an answer unless we first ask. And you don't just ask, you inquire. You take an interest in. You put something of yourself on the line in the asking. And then, in the delivery of the wisdom you seek, you will be rewarded with more than just a tangential yes or a no. You will be gifted with the examinations of the heavens. And in that humble revelation, we find each other. Right there, naked and exposed, and waiting together for retribution of the unknown in the striking wake of the truth, in fact. Embrace the vulnerability of not knowing, because in the listening of the asking, we are found and bound to belong, once again, to each other, in the realm of every possibility. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.